Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You are listening to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Here are your hosts, Alan Sanders and Walt Murray.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wilder Ride Listeners Lounge, our sidecast to our main podcast, where instead of looking at a movie 1 minute at a time, we look at the life of somebody interesting 1 moment at a time, but we're going to do something a little different today. And before we can tell you what we're doing, let's introduce ourselves. I'm your host, Alan Sanders.
I am your co-host, Walt Murray.
Walt, we actually tried to grab a guest for the final episode, but really, in some ways, this is probably an okay thing. It'll be the bookends to season 4. You and I started it back with episode 1. Let's end it with episode 37, I believe. For this season.
37.
Yep, 37 episodes. This will be our final one of 2021. I'm calling it our Christmas show, but also our Christmas show / season finale, because you and I are going to take a month and a half or so off to be with friends, family, be with our loved ones during the holidays, do a little rest and recuperation, much libation, and introduce the new year. Maybe do a few things on the side in January that have nothing to do with podcasting, or maybe sidecasting with other people where they have to do all the work, and then maybe hit right back at it in February and start launching episodes late February, early March.
Yeah, I've already had a couple of people ask me if I could join their podcast for a few episodes. So I'm really looking forward to that. And it'll be nice just to be able to join and not do much other than watch a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Just show notes for 2 or 3 minutes or however many episodes, and no editing, nothing, but just enjoy the conversation and let someone else take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always have a lot of fun. We have some really, really good friends who host podcasts, so it's always great to join them.
By the way, did you see our buddies, the Rocky Minute, finally are releasing episodes of Rocky 3?
I did see that. I'm really excited. I was going to try to watch some or listen to some last week and just didn't have time. But
you and I show up fairly early in the movie discussion, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we've got some great minutes of that one. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, those guys, we've had them on our show before. We've been on their show. It's going to be great minutes. If it was a picture of a wall, we'd find a way.
Oh yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So yeah, and those guys, we talk about how great they are. They're good friends of ours. We've really gotten to know them over the years. And so I'm really glad to see them getting that out and just good to see them doing well, Well,
they had hiccups in their life. Life goes on. And right now, nobody's getting paid, $1 bajillion to come to the microphone once a week and put a show on. We love doing it. It's a labor of love. It's a hobby, but life sometimes gets in the way and you have to prioritize. And sometimes that means putting things on hold for a bit.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes I don't think that I understood what goes into making a podcast before we started making a podcast. And man, life can just really grab you by the shorts sometimes. So it's tough to, keep all the balls in the air and keep a podcast going, particularly when it's not your career, it's your hobby. So, so anyway.
But you know what? It is good practice when you got to fill in for me.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
What was it? Our last guest, Eric Von Hessler, said when he was between jobs for several years, almost 5 years, I believe. He said he did the podcast so he'd keep that mental muscle memory going because he never knew when the next opportunity was going to be there. It's too late to have the opportunity to show up and then realize, oh, I'm rusty. Give me some time to shake the cobwebs out. No, you gotta be
you
ready.
can't do that. Yeah, it just doesn't work that way.
Nope, not in the real world. So
no, it does not.
Well, you know what? I guess I can set the table and we can decide, how much more we want to chat about the weekend review before we dive in. We had fun back in October doing a Halloween kind of special where we broke format a little bit, brought a guest on, and we talked about Halloween movies, scary movies, those kinds of things. And I wanted to do something similar to wrap up the year because we are in the holiday season. It is our final episode, which will drop before Christmas. It's also going to drop before New Year's. So I thought, why not do sort of a Christmassy themed, our favorite music, our favorite movies, use some lists to talk about, makes for some fun discussion. Who knows? I may insert some sound bites and music here or there as we as this episode wears along. I just wanted to have kind of a conversation about year-end wrap-up and even a look back at the year that was, and maybe even what do we expect in season 5.
Well, that might be the biggest question mark. That's what we're doing for season 5.
Right. Well, I know there's a lot of people disappointed we didn't get around to Willy Wonka like we thought, but you went through a whole lot the last half of the year.
Yeah, this has been a heck of a year. So, yeah.
But it is ending on a bright note.
It is. It is ending on a bright note. I guess I am announcing this that I've gotten engaged and will soon to be married sometime early in the
couldn't even handle
year.
Freedom for 3 months. You decided I need another ball and chain. Too much freedom. I can't trust myself.
Yeah,
I need
I guess that probably is part of it.
Someone needs to ground me quick. I'm about to make really bad decisions.
Well, and it's funny. I was done. You and I kind of talked about this, that I was happy to be finished and never do this again. And kind of reconnected with an old friend, and we just found that we had a lot in common, and one thing led to another, and here we are, and it's been great. So I certainly have no complaints.
Not to say that you aren't friends with whoever you decide to get wedded to, but a lot of times our first, well, at least I can speak only for me. I know my first marriage around, my marriage around, instead of a merry-go-round, my marriage around.
Right.
It was all about first impressing one another. We were doing the whole dating thing, looked at each other from across the room, did all of the courtship, did everything like you traditionally do. I'm not sure that I made time to make sure I knew we were best friends first. We were kind of into it and we both wanted it. But then you look at the changes that went on over the first 7, 8, 9 years. I started going, wait a minute, this is not the person I thought she was. And she may probably have the same comments about me, but in reality, wife number 2, I had no idea I was going to get married to her. I just knew we were good friends. We had a lot in common, but neither one of us had thought we were ever going to get married again, let alone raise kids beyond our own or do any of the kind of crazy stuff that Susan and I have done. So first of all, life throws you some loops. There's no matter which way you go, up or down, you're going to go on some roller coasters.
Yeah, absolutely.
But something about having someone who I would call a best friend, because she saw me at my worst, saw me when I was going through the divorce, saw me when I thought I was going to lose my kids, saw me when I was down to financially nearly nothing, just struggling to survive. And, when you don't have any of that pretense in the courtship phase, you could try to put on airs, but it's too late. They've seen the real you. Something about that makes it maybe a little bit better on the long haul, because now you have seen the rawness of each other.
Yeah, you have. And if you've never, for listeners who've never been through a divorce, I don't recommend it. It's not
on your bucket list.
Not at all fun, and it definitely was not on my list of things to do in my life. But it became a kind of a necessity, and but now for me, at least, it's kind of ending on a very good note. And yeah, I mean, we, like I said, we've been friends a long, long time, and so we already had a lot in common, and a lot of common interests, and a lot of common ways of looking at the world and raising kids for the next few years that we have kids around. Not well, one child we will have for a long time, one way or another. But yeah. So anyway, it's good. It's good. So
Well, the most
it'll be different
encouraging
this time around.
The most encouraging thing is you were telling me that when you guys were looking at a place to settle in, she was like, you could turn this into your little studio.
Yes, absolutely.
That's huge to know you've got that kind of support, because it does take a commitment. It does take time. But I think, which is ironic, being a friend, I think she liked the shows that we put out.
Yeah, actually, she listens to just about all of them. And of
now
course,
you got to watch yourself, huh?
Yeah, I guess I do. Well, if I hadn't hacked her off yet.
But you haven't mentioned her and you haven't been married yet. See, mine thankfully doesn't listen, I guess. So,
yeah, that is kind of a good thing for you.
Or she does, and she's just waiting to the right moment when I've let my guard down, and she just plunges the knife deep into my heart.
Well, that's coming.
I keep hearing that, and that it's sort of bothering me that everybody around me goes, I'm surprised she hasn't done it by now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what she's waiting for.
Well, gotta have a good cover, gotta have, gotta build your alibi. You're a detective, you gotta make sure that you have plausible deniability, build your cover story, make sure you've got an alibi, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I think that her friends and family would be more than happy to help with all that. So.
Well, that was bad. We're friends with the sheriff, and he's like, "Hey, I know it's coming. Just make sure, I don't know it. I'll make sure that we all know, and we'll just kind of like go wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. He slipped and fell on that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure Ralph is working that day because he's terrible. He's the worst deputy we've got. Right. Yeah. So
just give me the heads up when I know a lot of my best people are on vacation. I'll let you know. Say, okay, now's your window of opportunity. We've got Clarence, only 1 year on the job, barely made it. You need to call in favors.
Like I said, he's only got the one bullet. Yeah, we know him.
Yeah, exactly. Mayberry. They come on the crime scene and goes, yeah, it looks like an accident to me. It looks like he fell on that knife a good 17 times.
He just kept rolling, officer.
Why didn't he just stand up? I don't understand why he kept just hopping on it.
Well, there are true crime podcasts and then there are dumb crime podcasts. And,
I know where I'll end up.
Yes, we absolutely do. So.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the topics because we do have several things I sent as sort of like show prep. I don't even know if you got around to doing some of it, but I thought it'd be a good thing to kind of guide us. We've done this before with our Halloween show, our Halloween Spooktacular, and we did it a little bit kind of off the cuff with the Halloween show. But I thought this might be something fun to kind of use and maybe get some of our listeners to weigh in on social media, on Facebook, email us. As we go through, if you've got your list you want to make as you go along with some of these things and you want to share it, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we do. And I know everybody's got opinions on Christmas movies and music. So I'm sure we'll get plenty of feedback.
All right. I had 2 music categories. I've got 1 movie category and then something about Christmas traditions, memories when you were a kid versus an adult. What do you want to hit first? What do you want to go into when we start talking about our Christmas thoughts, memories, movies, things that we love about the season?
Well, since we've got 2 music and 1 movie categories, why don't we hit one of the music categories first?
You are thinking like a great co-host, or like me, in which case you'd be the host, because that's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, perfect.
Look, you know what? It shows we should be doing season 5 together.
Exactly.
We are meant for one another.
In so many weird ways.
It is. All right, let's go with the secular songs. I broke this up into your top 5 favorite. That's not to say that you can't have 10 or 20 or 30. I mean, for the most part, there are very few Christmas songs I don't like, but I wanted to just kind of go through this time of year. What are the ones you just have to hear? And if you have to rank order them, all-time favorite secular to number 5. We'll go 5 to 1. We'll go like we usually do, back and forth. I'll start this category. This is one that I have liked ever since the first time I heard it. I didn't even realize it was Kelly Clarkson. I just thought, here's this really cool, hip, modern, up-to-date Christmas song. And every time it plays, I feel my joy get higher. I feel lightness. I feel like, okay, that's what a Christmas song does. It makes me just feel good. And it's her song, Underneath the Tree.
Okay, I think I know that song.
If depending what stations you listen to, like I listen to the Sirius XM Holly channel, which is kind of a great mix of, update music, up to date music, some covers by modern artists, then the original songs. It's a really good eclectic mix. So I feel like I get a little nostalgia, I get some modern, I get a new song that has brand new lyrics versus a cover of a classic song, and then I get a classic song that's being covered by somebody. I think it's cool. So for me, that's one of those new songs that she wrote all about Christmas. And it's about trying to find that special someone underneath the tree.
I do most of my music, my Christmas music listening in stores. I don't usually intentionally go out and find a lot of Christmas music, but my list is basically the songs I like to hear when I'm standing around stores or other places that are playing Christmas music. So, but my number 5 is It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer.
That is a great song. That is a really, really good song.
I love it. And it's just kind of a good, upbeat, happy message. And
now the Andy Williams original.
Yeah, definitely the Andy Williams.
You know what? I had it on my list and then I worked it off. So I will say that is my honorable mention. That one, every time it starts, when the little flare of the orchestra and he comes in and it's the first line is telling you the title of the song. When he says it's the most wonderful time of the year. Love that song.
Yeah, he has a tremendous voice. And so it is. It's great. Great song.
Good number 5s. I think I like that. All right, number 4 for me, I go into nostalgia. Ever since I heard this when I was a kid, I know other people have covered it, but I love the original Brenda Lee's Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree.
Rockin' around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop.
Oh yeah, great song. That would be my honorable mention too. I had it on my list and bounced it off, but if we'd done a 10, that was going to be number 6.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's something about hearing that voice, that style of recording where you can feel it's just a little flat. It's not exactly as full rounded as today's recordings, but it has everything about the memories of growing up. I'm 6 years old, setting up our Christmas tree in my mom and dad's family room back in Detroit, hearing that song. That's the kind of nostalgia that goes with it.
It's awesome, isn't it? Great song. Well, my number 4 is Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. And I think because I live in Georgia, I'm like, please let it snow. Yes, I echo that.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but which version of Let Us Know? Which cover or which person?
I don't know. There are a couple of really good ones out there, and to be honest with you, I don't know who. I don't even know that I would know the difference, to be honest. So,
okay. Just any version of that song. You just love that song.
Yeah, there are probably some versions I don't like, but pretty much the ones you're going to hear in the stores, or if you turn on one of the stations, that would be up there for me.
Well, my version is the Vaughn Monroe. That's the one, if you know the movie Die Hard, when it ends at the end and they sing Let It Snow. That's the voice I most associate with that song, though I think Frank Sinatra may have sung it first. But mine, I like the Vaughn Monroe version.
I would think, I think you're right.
Although Michael Bublé has a great one. Dean Martin has a great one. So, I mean, I think I'm with you. I may have a favorite singer, but it's whoever sings it. I love the song.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it's just a good, fun Christmas song.
All right, number 3 for me in the secular top 5 Christmas songs, and it doesn't get played nearly enough. I love U2's cover of Christmas, Baby Please Come Home.
Oh, yeah.
It's just got enough of that rock. It's got a little bit of that 80s feel from U2 when they covered it, because it came out as a compilation on a very special Christmas album where they got all these different artists, and it came out in 1980. I want to say 1983 or 1984, this first, and they've had several volumes since. But that version by U2, I just love. Yeah,
and U2 has a ton of great music out there that has been put on, special edition albums and stuff like that. And that is one that that kind of gets lost sometimes, but is a fantastic song.
All right, your number 3.
My number 3 is I'll Be Home for Christmas by Bing Crosby.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can plan on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree.
Oh, cool. I'll be beating my kids for Christmas, Bing Crosby.
Exactly. You kind of want to overlook some of those things, don't you?
You have to. You know what? That voice and that version, I remember at my grandfather's lake house. He lived on a lake just outside of Detroit. And I love that version. I just think it's something about how deep his voice is, how resonant. And I'm like, God, that voice, how does somebody have that for pipes?
Yeah, seriously.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he and his voice really in a lot of ways is just like, oh, Christmas.
Yeah. It definitely is. I associate that always with the Christmas season. All right, my number 2 is maybe it's close to my all-time favorite, and it may eventually become number 1 on my list. I still have a number 1 that's been my number 1 for, I don't know, 44 years of my life, maybe 45. But number 2 right now is Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
When it came out, it was it reminds me, like, again, of the Kelly Clarkson, which was my number 5. Brand new song. She wrote it. She sang it. It has been covered by other people, but the song in and of itself, the lyrics, it reminds us that when it comes to Christmas time, it's great to wish for toys or clothes or jewelry or whatever. But when it comes down to it, all I really want for Christmas is somebody that I love.
Yeah, that's great. Well, my number 2 is Sleigh Ride by the Ronettes. I don't know. I just always have liked that song.
I love it because Sleigh Ride as an instrumental works beautifully. The Boston Pops forever probably had the best known instrumental version as far as just music. But you're right, putting the lyrics to it, singing it, putting it almost a 60s style edge to it, very, very good.
It's
any
great,
version of Sleigh Ride is good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know of a bad version out there.
And you grew up, or at least spent some time up north. I know I grew up in Detroit. It makes me, when I hear songs like it, like Let It Snow, like Sleigh Ride, it makes me kind of yearn for those days when we did have snow a little bit more on the ground during the winter, as opposed to living in Georgia, where it's a rare treat. I mean, we got it every year when I lived in Detroit. There was no doubt you were getting snow every year.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I remember one time when I was a kid, we didn't have snow at Christmas, and I was all upset because I was like, oh my gosh, Santa can't come.
Right. So, I remember you worry like, how's Santa come in Georgia? Like, oh, he goes all over the world. He's got a sled that can handle all kind of weather. It's an all-terrain sled.
All-terrain sled. Well, I heard some song yesterday that said that he'll come down the chimney right at midnight. I'm like, how could he go down the chimney in every house right at midnight? But I guess kids don't really think about that.
No, I did interview once a woman who actually I interviewed Mrs. Claus, and she explained how it works. She goes, you know how all of the lines of longitude meet at the North Pole? She goes, when you're at the North Pole, time basically comes to a stop because all of the time is at the exact same time. So for Santa, he can go everywhere and we don't even know it, because for him, he has all the time in the world.
Okay, well, I'll go with that.
That felt like a pretty cool explanation to me.
Yeah, there you go. We'll live with that one.
All right. For this category of favorite secular Christmas songs, my number one, and it's only because one of the favoriteest films growing up as a kid was watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and having the snowman played by, or at least the voice of Burl Ives, singing Holly Jolly Christmas.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas. And when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet.
That is a great one. That is a great one.
Every time I hear it, it doesn't matter. I could be mad at the world, my kids, my dog. Someone could have just, ripped up and that song comes on, like, okay, my heart lifts. So once again, it's a criteria for me for being a good Christmas song.
Yeah, that's a very good choice. Very
and the
good
Burl
choice.
Ives version, I know other people have done it. There's something about Burl Ives, the way he sings it. I see the snowman in my head just singing along and telling me to just have a holly jolly Christmas.
Yeah, well, and I can never make the argument that TV doesn't leave a lasting impression, because that is exactly what I think when I hear him singing it.
Yeah, I don't see him. I see a freaking snowman.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, you're number one.
My number one, White Christmas by Bing Crosby.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
Oh, wow, another Bing song. Look at
Yeah, he got on there twice. So, but yeah, just, that to me kind of is just one of those you have to hear every Christmas time, and it's Christmas when you hear it.
Yeah. No, once again, it's his voice. It's that song. There's no way to not be all of a sudden in the Christmas mood when you hear it. It doesn't matter what channel.
Absolutely.
And what's funny is, around here in Atlanta, there's so many different kinds of radio stations, but usually the day of Christmas, almost everybody does some kind of Christmas programming. It doesn't matter whether it's pop or classic rock or modern rock. At some point, you're hearing Bing Crosby sing White Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. You absolutely will sometime during the
I think
day
it's
on
one of
just
those
about every
songs
station.
everybody knows, even if they don't know who sang it.
Yep, even if you're not having a White Christmas. I'm sure stations in Miami play it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So that's our top 5 Christmas songs for each of us for our secular. We're going to get to our religious ones in a little bit. Before we get to the movies, 'cause I think movies we can put like dead in the center. I wanted to talk about some of our Christmas traditions. Some of the things that you have in your house, or maybe you grew up with. Some of the things I grew up with. There's no necessarily set number, and it can just kind of be a discussion. But for me, when I got on my own, because I grew up in a family that believed that, well, you put the Christmas tree up a couple of weeks before Christmas and then you take it down 12 days later, which, being Catholic, I got that. I understood the 12 days of Christmas come the 12 days after Christmas, which means you're not supposed to take anything down. You leave your lights on, you leave your Christmas tree up until the 12th day, which is January 5th or 6th, whatever the Feast of the Epiphany becomes the final, the Feast of Christmas is now over. So we at least had an extended time as opposed to some people who didn't do that. But I love Christmas so much. I've loved the lights. I love the decorating. And we go all out in our house. We have a tree in every room. So our tradition, Susan and I, and it's been something I've had as my tradition since I was kind of on my own and then got married the first time, but carried it on, is usually right after Halloween, the first weekend in November, we at least put the main tree up inside. We'd take time putting everything up. So it's not going to go all up at once. But no matter what, every year, the first weekend in November, we're putting our main tree up.
That's a good tradition. And, good time to do that.
What I like about it is because it's the biggest tree, it has all the lights, and it's the lights that I love because they all pulsate and blink and twinkle. You can have that on the following days and weeks that you're putting the rest of your Christmas stuff up. And it just feels like that's the hub. That's the center. Everything else now radiates from it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, one of the things that we have always done, the kids have always loved, is that there are people who have a very ornate Christmas tree with, really, really nice ornaments and things like that. We have more picked ornaments over the years that, either things that kids have made or one that we've found somewhere that really, was like a toy that the kids really loved, and we found an ornament that was related to that, or stuff that the kids have just come up with and said, hey, we love this ornament. And so ours is definitely a hodgepodge of stuff that are just good memories of the kids and of Christmas past. So that's really cool. And we don't really have a set day. We actually, the girls and I and my significant other did our Christmas tree yesterday. So did a live tree for the first time that I can remember.
Wow.
And so that was really cool. And the girls just had a blast doing it. And I don't think that my daughters have sat in the same room without arguing that long in a long time. So it was really nice.
Well, I will dovetail on that because one of mine that I wrote down, and this is thanks to my new wife, to Susan, and we've been together for 12 plus years, but she started it before we even got married. So this is one of her traditions that I adopted, and I love it. We have a dedicated Christmas tree. You talk about you've got your kids pick their ornaments and it's a hodgepodge. We have a dedicated, what we call our family Christmas tree. And the family Christmas tree is downstairs in our movie room. We set it up. And every year, and this is so cool, when we put the tree up, it's one of our favorite trees to put up. We give each kid on Christmas Eve an ornament with their name, whatever the theme of that year. We buy ornaments that we can then customize and put their name and the year. And then they all get hung on the tree. And so every year when we put the tree up, we look back at all of the years and all of the memories of each ornament and each year's worth of ornaments. And the tree now keeps getting fuller and fuller because now we're adding significant others. We have, of course, the sadness of some of our passing of relatives, but it's basically the name and the year of somebody in the family that was celebrating Christmas that year.
That is really cool.
I know. I feel like I'm turning into that guy because when I was younger, I was like, do we really care? But there's something really cool when your kids are grown and out of the house, and then you're putting up ornaments and you're like, oh, here's the year we put their faces in all of them. Or here's the year we went to the beach. And so they're all beach themed. Or here's the year and they're all labeled. They've all got names and they've all got stories. And I love putting that tree up. And one of our traditions that goes with that family Christmas tree on Christmas Eve, when they open their Christmas ornament, they also get their Christmas jammies. And we've done that since they were a kid. As adults, they actually they go, we're still getting Christmas jammies this year, right? So my wife made themed Christmas jammies for everybody to wear Christmas Eve. So
how fun!
As long as they want to live and believe in and experience the magic of Christmas, I'm good.
That is great. That is awesome.
And for anyone listening, you can start the tradition at any point in time, because as long as you're alive, there's always yet another year of Christmas. You just create ornaments for everyone that's going to be there and put them on the tree. It's amazing how in 10, 15 years, you've got a tree full of ornaments and a tree full of memories.
That is, wow. Yeah, that's really cool. That is a really neat thing.
I also have, just to kind of do this because you were just part of it, and I actually got a chance to meet face to face your significant other. One of the things that we've done for every year except last year, and I'm mad we didn't do it last year, but I get it. There were people who were still a little concerned, but we do an annual Christmas party. We call it the San Monaco Christmas Party. And we had it this past year. We brought it back, and it was massive. We had so many people. The last couple didn't leave till 3:00 in the morning. But that is one of the things I look forward to every year. I don't look forward to the cleanup and the setup and everything that we got to do, but once the party hits, I have such a blast.
Well, and I'll tell you, it has become a highlight for me every year to go to that party. It's just there are people that I've gotten to be friends with there that I don't see any other time, and so it really is a very cool party. And you start to see, like, I run into people there who I have known in other lives, and I'm like, oh wait, how do you know Alan? And so it's really a very cool event.
Yeah, we enjoy, like, Susan and I describe it as, because everybody's always like, well, what do we need to make, or what do we need to bring? And we're like, no, this is our gift to our friends. This is our gift to say, we're gonna host, we're gonna put all the food, all the beer, all the wine, all the beverage. We're gonna just try to make it a fun night for you to just show up, just have a good time, maybe meet some new people, rekindle, relationships from the last year. But this is our gift to all of our friends.
Yeah, and it's great. And the sausage balls are always fantastic.
Well, I'll tell Susan, she loves good sausage balls in her mouth. I prefer Italian meatballs in my mouth, but that gets into a whole different discussion.
That's a whole different psychiatrist visit.
How do you like your balls? In my mouth. Soft, warm, and in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm not sure why your therapist is buying that house in the Keys this year.
Oh, let me on top of that, I don't know why. I was like, I have one more thing that I had that I put down in this category of, like, our current traditions. Because I talked about the kids coming over for their Christmas PJs and talking about the ornament. But in the last few years, because they have been gone to college and now they are out of college, all but one, and they're all starting their own lives. They've got significant others, they've got jobs, they've got responsibilities. We don't see them every day, but they're all still wanting to spend the night. And so we've made a thing where for the last several years, we have an entire evening of activities planned. We play this game where Susan has she takes all these little tiny prizes, and it could be money, gift cards, little toys, makeup, just all these kind of weird little small tiny things. And she continues to build a saran wrap ball and layers these things in it as she grows this ball bigger and bigger and bigger. And we play this game where you have to wear oven mitts to try to take the plastic off the ball to get to the
Oh
prize.
my gosh.
And while you're trying to take it off, the person behind you is rolling 2 pair of dice. The minute they roll doubles, they go doubles, and you have to pass the ball and the mitts to the next person, and they have to put the mitts on and start trying to unwrap while you then take the dice and start rolling. And if you get doubles, they have to, and we keep passing it around until we're done with the ball. That is always so much fun, because sometimes
is crazy.
Just as you're putting the mittens on, someone goes, oh, doubles. You're like, I didn't even get a chance.
That is pretty awesome.
What's funny is we buy the little mini, like the airplane like bottles of like liquor and stuff. Like we'll have vodka and tequila and whiskey, and the kids are like, I'm trying to get. I'm like, oh my god, I've got kids trying to get the little shot of alcohol out of this stupid saran wrap box.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's such a fun game. And then we'll do like gingerbread houses. We'll do ugly sweater contest. Everybody's got to figure out and go buy an ugly sweater. And then we actually, last year when we did it, we put it online and we let the people who were on social media vote who they thought had the ugliest sweater. And so,
oh my gosh.
Susan,
Yeah, I remember that. I'm pretty sure I voted for you.
I had a gnarly sweater. I don't think I won that one. I won best gingerbread house that year. But I didn't win the sweater. And then this year, Sophie, this is sad, my youngest, she came up with a new game. She goes, let's all invent a Christmas cocktail and we'll have a cocktail tasting.
Oh, yeah. You told me about that.
Right. And then Susan expanded it. She goes, okay, well, let's have 3 categories so we can maybe spread the winnings around. We'll have best presentation, best name of the cocktail, and then best tasting cocktail.
Oh, nice.
So that's kind of what we do Christmas Eve. You know, the kids they're all adults, they're all grown up. But I will tell you, Walt, and I've told my girls this, especially for all you folks out there who don't believe in Santa. I've always told my girls, I'm like, Santa will always be as real as the magic you give to the holidays. And if you believe in the magic of family and togetherness and forgiveness and overcoming whatever you've had in your life and just the fun and the merriment of Christmas, that's Santa. That's the Santa that we feel in our hearts. So as far as we're concerned, Santa comes every year to our house.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know I kind of dominated that, but I just figured I'd go through all of our traditions. What about you and some of the other ones that you do besides your tree?
Well, one of the traditions that we started years ago that has been really great for us from a sleep standpoint is that we would always unwrap presents late at night on Christmas Eve. So then the kids could get up at the crack of dawn if they want to, or they could sleep a little bit. And then I would normally get up and make breakfast or something and, just have more of a leisurely Christmas morning. Didn't always work out, but, because the kids were up and ready to go. And, but that is one of them. And then just try to, when you've got all kinds of family everywhere and you've got parents and step parents and step grandparents and all that, it kind of makes it a little crazy. But we always just focused on making sure the kids had the best time possible.
That's awesome. One of the things we used to do, and the kids didn't like it as much when they were younger, but now they all agree, which is kind of crazy. I've got one of those few really weird moments where you're like, okay, is the world going to end? We're all in agreement with one another. But I used to say, look, we're not going to just all go crazy and unwrap everything all at once. I would say we're going to go around so we can all watch whoever's opening. And that way we can appreciate what they got and let them have the limelight. It would take longer to open the gifts, but everyone got a chance to see who got what, because
we
drive
did that
me nuts.
as well.
When I would go to I would go to a relative's house and it was just like paper flying in the air and there was like chaos and
complete free for all.
And I'm like, I don't even know who got what and who got it from whom and who gave it to whom. And now my girls are like, I don't care if it takes 3 hours to go through the gift opening. We've got all morning. Let's enjoy our time together. And they love it. So we all take our times opening our gifts.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, well, the other tradition that we have had for a long time is that I also read the Christmas story from the Bible every year, and just to spend some time focusing on what Christmas is about and why we celebrate it and where that tradition came from, and talk about the kind of the implications of that God came to earth in human form and how amazing that really is. So
now you're making me feel bad because I never even thought to do that. I mean, I've directed the best Christmas pageant ever, probably 8, maybe 7, 8 times, where it's all about the Bible story and it's all about these kids who are telling the story and reenacting the Christmas pageant. I've never even thought once to read it to my own kids.
Well, might be a new tradition that you start.
Could be. I don't know if they would go for it now.
You think about those words that born this day in the city of David is a savior, Christ the Lord. I mean, that is
I mean, it's a Charlie Brown
Amazing.
Christmas when Linus takes the stage and he's like,
Lights, please. And there were in the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. And the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not. For behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
really
and
is it.
that was we used to always watch that with the kids too, and that's a great tradition.
Yeah. You're so right. I mean, I try all the time to remind my kids, it's not about what you get, it's about the memories, it's about being together. But you're right. Sometimes the story in and of itself should not be forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I take for granted sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely we do. And it also helps to remind us that even in the midst of this gift giving, that we need to think about that year round of people who are less fortunate than us and ways that we can be a blessing to those around us too. So it's kind of a nice break from all the gift getting and giving, and helps you to kind of refocus on what's important in life.
Oh, I like it. That is really cool. That's you know what, you own it. I know a lot of people do it. You have just opened my mind to the possibility of adding that to our list.
Yeah, it's a great tradition. It really is.
All right, what else do you got? Anything else that you like to make sure you do? And I know being now engaged, you might be starting to be introduced to a new set of traditions.
Yeah, we're having to. We've had this conversation several times of how are we going to do this moving forward, and I have my ex's family that has their traditions that we need to make sure the kids are involved in, and I have my family's traditions and hers, and so now we're kind of blending those traditions, and so it's cool. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out, but I know for my kids, one thing we've always also tried to do, if there was something worth seeing, was go see a movie during the week of Christmas. So we'll be going to see Spider-Man this week.
Oh my God, we're gonna go see that, but after Christmas. But I was told we have so much going on this week, you can't go. I'm like, oh, come on, everybody else is going.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're gonna go Thursday afternoon.
So you're going before Christmas. I have to wait till between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, we may go see something else then. I know we've kind of missed a couple of movies lately, so we may try another one next week too. But we definitely are going to go see Spider-Man.
That's a cool tradition to have, though, to just go hit the movies at some point as a family and just look forward to like whatever blockbuster is at the theater.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just try to spend as much time with family doing family stuff as I can.
Yeah, no, you're right. One of the things I wish I was better at, because I do all the cooking. I mean, Susan can cook, but that's not her favorite thing. So she leaves it to me, and I don't mind doing it because I love cooking. I don't bake. And so I feel weird that we don't have those moments of making cookies or making pies or making cakes. We don't do that as a family.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the only time of year. I mean, we're not big into sweets. We're not big into treats. I mean, she's a personal trainer. We both are at that age where we're trying to make sure we're being conscious about our age and our weight and all the other things. But there's something about Christmas. You're like, how can you not bake cookies? And I'm like, dang it. I've got to really focus on learning how to bake.
Yeah. Well, come by our house. Heather can show you how to bake. She is a tremendous cook. I'm going to have to spend a lot of time on the Peloton.
You're just going to be like,
because
you just go into the bathroom and just pour it in and say, okay, good. It's just faster this way. Just put it.
No, for me, it has to recycle through the fat first and then get burned off. So it's that is a tradition I'm trying to break. So,
well, what you had to do is figure out how to be good all year long so you can be bad. You can be
that's really the key. That's the key. So be bad the rest of the year.
No,
So,
be good the rest of the year. Be bad this time.
yes, be good the rest of the year. Right.
I think you had a Freudian slip.
Let me get this straight.
I want to be bad all the time.
Good the rest of the year. Maybe that's where I've been going wrong.
I think you figured it out.
Mystery solved.
Ding, ding, ding. He wins a prize. Gold star for Walt.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Any other traditions or anything else you want to talk about as far as just traditions for Christmas? Because we're in the midst of the season and it's going to be happening over the next several days. So anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think those are the big things. And just trying to have that good solid mix of family time and giving to those who I love, and then also taking the time to take that pause and just remember what it's all about.
One of my favorite albums growing up, and I just started listening to it a couple of days ago, and I know for those folks who don't know them, you can pull them up if you've got an Alexa, if you've got a smart speaker, and of course you go to YouTube. But the Ray Conniff Singers put out a couple of Christmas albums, and for me, listening to them sing their Christmas melodies between the boys, the male and female choirs coming together, but sort of a pop style of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Love their music. And when I was little, the one song I didn't like, and now I love as an adult, but it's part of a medley where they basically say, now that we're older and we've got, responsibilities, we may not think we've got enough money for everything. So when we're worried and we can't sleep, let's just count our blessings instead of sheep. And I love it now. And I realize, sometimes the money can be tight. Sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes things happen. But don't fret what you can't buy. If you're feeling like you can't go to sleep at night, if you're feeling worried that you don't have enough stuff under the tree, stop. Count your blessings instead of sheep. And I love that message.
That's great advice.
And now, when I hear that song, it's a little slower and a little more somber, but the message hits home so much more than when I was a kid.
Well, and then this year, a lot of the stuff you want to buy is still on a ship out in the Pacific. So
I'm telling you,
there's that rough. Too.
It's been rough just grocery shopping.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it has.
Yeah. Here's a little comment we're leaving about shelves not having been stocked. That'll be like a time capsule nugget. Like 3 years from now, someone will stumble across it like, what are you talking about? Like, don't you remember back in 2021, all the ships couldn't unload? Like, really?
Yeah. And I heard today that there are not enough truck drivers to get the containers back to the port so they can be reloaded. I mean, it's just crazy. So
one of my pleasures I get to be in radio is to interview people that are in economic development and some of our technical colleges. There are right now kids, at least as of this recording, there are kids being offered a guaranteed job if they will make sure they finish their degree in being a CDL licensed over-the-road trucker. They're being guaranteed between $50,000 and $70,000 a year because there are so many openings in the trucking industry.
Well, I've almost quit a few times to do that, but they're making a killing now, and they should.
Yeah,
they should.
It goes to show not everybody needs to go to a 4-year kind of a white collar degree kind of school. There are plenty of jobs where you're going to make a really good living doing something that's in the trades, something with your hands, something, it's skilled. It just isn't maybe as much of you're not being a doctor or a lawyer or a banker, but hey, your plumbing goes bad in your house over the holidays. You want a plumber who knows what they're doing. Your lights don't work. You want an electrician who knows what they're doing. You know, your HVAC doesn't work in the summer, or the heat doesn't work in the winter. You want someone who knows what they're doing. People are making a killing reminding that, you know, there are jobs that are great for those kids who aren't necessarily doctors and lawyers and nurses. That's fine. There's plenty of career paths for people who have skills.
Yeah, my friend Jeff Sporer is a welder, and they cannot hire enough welders. They just can't find them, and they can't find kids who have thought about becoming welders. And so the demand is up there, so the money is up there.
The money's there. Oh my God. It's so funny. I know we're doing a sidetrack here, but one of the initiatives in the community in which I live, they created what's called the College and Career Academy for high school students who want to already start learning some of those trade skills in high school. In high school. And some of them,
Jeff is teaching some of those classes for welders.
Yeah. Some of these kids are being paid to go to high school because then they leave high school for 3 hours or an hour once or twice a week to go to a job to apply what they're learning. They're getting paid. And when they graduate high school, they're like, hey, if you want a job right now, we're going to give you one because now you already know our culture and our environment.
So amazing.
It is.
It's amazing.
It is. I love it. I think
too.
there is absolutely nothing wrong with working with your hands and having a skill. I mean, one of the things my wife loves about me is I learned carpentry when I was young. And now she's like, build a shelf, build this, build a wall, build a basement, I'm like, you know, at some point I want to go, you know, I wish I didn't do this.
Yeah, no kidding. Competence is sometimes a bad thing.
It is. I'm like, oh, who told you? I did.
Yeah. I demonstrated that.
Let's go back to songs because I'm trying to hold off on movies because movies are so much more fun to talk about.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Let's get to our religious songs because we did our top 5 secular songs. Let's go through our religious ones. The ones for me, and I don't know how you ranked it. It doesn't mean that you necessarily sing them in church, although most of these that I think I picked, we do. For me, if they represent God, the Bible, the story of Jesus, the story of Mary, anything that's much more religious versus like Santa Claus, elves, and snow. So let's go through this. For me, I'll start off number 5 in my top 5 favorite Christmas songs that are kind of religious in origin. I've always been an Enya fan. I think Enya as a new age singer, she's gorgeous. Her voice, you know, if I could have one of those, like, just wish, like I rub a lamp and a genie pops out. I'm like, can I have Enya as my own personal singer to sing me to sleep at night? That's what I would wish for.
Yeah, no kidding.
Her version of Silent Night may be the single greatest version I have ever heard. Silent Night, Enya. If you've not heard it, she actually sings the verses in Gaelic.
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it?
Gorgeous. It is just, you feel the majesty and the solemnness of the birth of Christ in that version.
She has probably one of the most awesome voices of anybody on record.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm not arguing with you at all.
Okay, so my number 5 is an old favorite, The Little Drummer Boy. And there's a version that I came across, I don't know, sometime in the 90s by a band called Whiteheart, which had done kind of a more modernized version of it. And I typically like the traditional ones, but that one is a tremendous reimagining of that song. So number 5 is The Little Drummer Boy.
Come, they told me,
set before the king. Pa-ra-pa-pum-pum, ra-pa-pum-pum, ra-pa-pum-pum.
I love it. And I struggled with Little Drummer Boy because I'll tell you, it's on my list. It's not my number. It's coming up. But I was like, is that a religious song? And I was like, yeah, it is, because it's telling the story of the birth of Jesus and all he has.
That's
to
how I
give
felt
is the
about
gift
it
of
too.
Music.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt too.
Well, I mentioned them growing up, the Ray Conniff Singers. Their version of We Three Kings is my number 4.
Yeah, great song.
Again, sort of how it ties into Little Drummer Boy. The kings who were compelled by the story of the star to just go through their dreams to bring gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to this birth for no reason other than they were compelled by something they felt.
Yeah. And I actually had that on my list, so that's going to be my honorable mention because that is such a tremendous song. My number 4 is Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled.
I almost put that in there. I almost put the Charlie Brown version.
Yes, I love the Charlie Brown version. But that's just a great song, great Christmas song. Just well written and it really the Peanuts folks really did a great job with it.
I used to because I always make up like funny lyrics, and my kids always remember that I would always sing around the house, "Hark the hairless angels sing," and they were like, "Why are they hairless?"
There's so much you can do with that song.
Yeah. They still to this day like, oh my God, are you gonna sing "Hark the Hairless Angels Sing"? My wife is
I am.
Not if I can help it. All right, my number 3 is the same as yours towards the bottom of your list. My number 3 is The Little Drummer Boy. My all-time favorite version is Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band singing
Yes.
Little Drummer Boy.
Come, they told me, pa-ra-pa-bum-bum, our newborn king to see, pa-ra-pa-bum-bum, our finest gifts we bring, pa-ra-pa-bum-bum, to set
Yeah, they have a great version.
It is awesome. Ray Conniff has a great version. I mean, there's so many people that have done a great cover of Little Drummer Boy. I actually really like, talk about Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby and David Bowie do a version of Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah, that's right.
Ridiculously good.
Really, really good.
But
Great
something
version.
about the Bob Seger one, it's the traditional song, but he's got that voice. I grew up in Detroit, which is where he came from. Just Bob Seger singing The Little Drummer Boy. I'm telling you, dude, it's weird. Maybe being a parent, it just sort of almost brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of power in that song. I mean, it's one of those that just tells a great story.
Yeah. When the lyrics come up and he's like, all I have is my drum, all I have is my music. So I just played my best for him. Like,
yeah,
he's so compelled, like for whatever reason, doesn't even know who this kid is. He's like, I just want to give him my absolute best.
Yeah.
And that's sort of
pretty awesome.
It's like the allegory of we should all be doing our best all the time because of the birth of Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, is that your number 3?
That was my number 3.
My number 3 is Angels We Have Heard on High.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
That one
There
almost
are-
made my list.
Yeah, there are several really good versions of that out there, and I like that song so much that I probably every version I've heard I like, and I really can't think of a bad version of that song.
All right, my number 2, I picked one particular version because of how it brought it back, I would say mainstream, and put an edge to it and made it feel really cool and fun and yet still traditional. But there is no version out there that's bad. And that's Carol of the Bells, mine by Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Ah, okay.
The whole the Ring Christmas Bells, whether you hear it just as an instrumental or whether you hear it with lyrics, the Carol of the Bells, it almost is my number 1. That's why it's my number 2. But it is so close to my favorite just sound of the season, because you can play it traditionally in church with like the actual bells, and you have the bell ringers playing it. You can do it like the rock edge of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. John Williams had a version of it in Home Alone when he did the score for Home Alone. There is no bad version of Carol of the Bells.
No, there probably is not. I've never heard one.
And the message of ring Christmas bells, merrily ring, tell all the world Jesus is king. And it just that repetition and the bells. And yet there's a somber edge to it, realizing it's a life that's not going to be all pleasure, but right now it's happy. But we know there's going to be suffering later. It's just, it's a beautiful piece of music.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, my number 2 is "O Little Town of Bethlehem."
Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie above thy deep and dreamless sleep. The silent stars go by.
So good.
And just a great Christmas song again. You know, points us to what it's all about, and talks about the humble little town of Bethlehem. Nobody pays any attention, and they host the birth of the Savior. So, really cool song.
Isn't it amazing how all of our music centers around the night of the Christmas pageant?
Yeah, it is. It is neat.
Well, my number 1 goes straight to the story, and it is and lots of people have sung it. Almost all of them are fantastic, but my favorite rendition of my number 1 is Michael Crawford singing "Oh Holy Night."
Oh,
that is my number 1.
That is funny. That's mine too.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error.
That is such an amazing song.
If it doesn't have tears welling in your eyes at the crescendo, there's just
No
something.
doubt.
Even if you don't believe, let's just for our audience that's like, oh, you're all talking about Jesus. That's fine. I get it. There's all different beliefs out there. But if you get into the artistry and the majesty of that song as it's sung, especially by somebody who's got a command of their voice, when they're belting those final phrases, those notes toward the end of the song, if you're not just feeling something if you're not feeling something welling up within you, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just from an appreciation of how good the music is, if nothing else.
When Christ was born, oh night divine, oh night.
And for folks, if you don't know the name Michael Crawford, if you're familiar with the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Phantom of the Opera, Michael Crawford, who was an actor, a British guy, who pretty much came to fame from the on Broadway. I mean, he's done a lot of theater, a lot of acting, a lot of film, but there's just when he did the Phantom in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera, he suddenly became known as the voice of the Phantom. That's the guy I'm talking about. If you've never heard Michael Crawford sing "Oh Holy Night," stop right now, cue up YouTube, pull it up, enjoy the next 6.5 minutes. You will not regret it.
His name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we. Let all within us praise his holy name.
Yeah, and he has just such an amazing voice for that song.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's just, it brings a tear. I'm telling you, I feel like a wuss, but it brings a tear to my eye every time I hear it.
Oh, it's amazing. There's no shame in that.
Well, you and I see eye to eye. Oh Holy Night, our #1 religious themed Christmas song.
Yeah, such a just amazing song. So,
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump over to movies now. We got to have fun with some of our favorite Christmas films, whether they're classics or brand new or variations on a theme. You and I were each tasked with coming up with our top 10. These are the movies that if I had to watch, if I only got 10 Christmas movies to watch, these are my top 10.
yeah, and I'm trying to. I think I pretty much watch all of these just about every year, but every once in a while I miss one of them. So.
Yeah, I would say same with me. I think I almost always hit all 10, but I might miss one or two depending on what's going on. All right, I've gone first the last couple of times, so I'm gonna go. You go first this time. What is your number 10? We will count down 10 to 1. Your all-time favorite top 10 Christmas movies.
My number 10 is kind of a weird one. It's The Santa Claus. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
It just is a funny movie.
Tim Allen is great. And I love how they explain some of the myth of Santa and make it go, oh, well, of course he can transform matter. Oh, of course he would instantly become fat. Oh, of course. Oh, well, that makes sense now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it just is it's a good movie. And Tim Allen's great. And so it really is. It's a lot of fun. It's a great movie.
I loved the Santa Claus and Santa Claus 2. Not as much of a fan of the Santa Claus 3, but I thought the first one was just so original, and Tim Allen's just great.
He is, and I know he's gotten in some disputes over the last few years or whatever, but he really is. He's great in that movie.
My number 10, and it's probably because it came out when my kids were of the perfect age to watch it, and it became something we would watch over and over and over. The Macaulay Culkin classic, Home Alone.
Oh yeah, yep.
To this day, I still, and maybe it's because I grew up watching the Three Stooges in reruns and watching like the pratfalls of that kind of really brainless humor of those guys. I still crack up in the last act when the two thieves are trying to break into the house and the kids having his way with them. Just such a fun movie.
That is some of the best modern slapstick to come out in decades. I mean, that 15 or 20 or 30 minutes is really amazing.
It not only holds up when you watched it back then, but when you show and I know when I get to show my grandkids in 10 or 15 or 20 years that movie, they're going to cackle with glee watching the bad guys get what's coming to them.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. So, well, and it's ironic, but that was also my number 9. So
good.
So we agree on that one.
Well, it belongs in the top 10. All right. My number 9 is one that's very similar to in the sense of Home Alone, about being about a kid not being left home alone, but a kid who's trying to get his Red Ryder BB gun, A Christmas Story.
Oh man, that is such a great movie. I love that movie.
I can't believe that I didn't want to see it when I saw the advertising. I was like, what is this? As a kid, and they had Santa kicking people down slides going, ho, ho, ho. I'm like, I don't get it. When I became an adult and had kids, I was like, oh,
yes.
I get the movie now. So
yeah.
I didn't like it when I was a kid, but as an adult, I love A Christmas Story.
Yeah, it's great. It is a great movie. It is a great movie. So yeah, and Home Alone was my number 9. So
all right, you're number 8.
Number 8, The Muppet Christmas Carol. I love that movie. I've always loved the Muppets, and I loved being able to revisit that with my kids. And that story is so great. Such a an iconic Christmas story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
So having it told by the Muppets is really a lot of fun.
The story, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, is so well known. It's been redone in sitcoms. It's been done in science fiction. It's been done, like you said, as the Muppets. It's been done on stage, radio theater. Everyone knows the story of Scrooge and having to be visited by the 3 ghosts to try to change his heart.
Who is your favorite Scrooge?
I like the Muppet Christmas Carol with Michael Caine. I think Michael Caine is great.
I thought he was tremendous as well.
I mean, thinking about acting with, quote, Muppets, he is so good.
Yeah.
I forget he's acting with Muppets.
Yeah.
I probably think my next favorite version would probably be, just because he's a tremendous actor, is George C. Scott.
Yeah, I think that is my traditional version of it. The Muppet version is great, but George C. Scott is just fantastic. His 2 best roles are Scrooge and Patton.
Mm-hmm.
He far and away, he blows away all the other Scrooges for me.
I'll be honest, I have not seen the Patrick Stewart version, but I gotta imagine Patrick Stewart does a good job.
Oh yeah, he is very good. He is excellent.
So, all right, my number 8, which is going back to my childhood, but I still love it. And I love when the song comes on the radio, but it is the animated back to Chuck Jones, Mel Blanc, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
That is awesome. That is an awesome movie.
Narrated by Boris Karloff himself. How do you go wrong with not seeing the Grinch every year?
Yeah. It is the classic, and it's actually my next one. So
you're number 7.
Yeah, that's my number 7. So I love that movie. Every time it's on, I get sucked in. It's like Jaws for me.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter where I turn it on, I can sit and watch it. It's such a great
song
movie.
and I don't remember the actor's name, but the guy that did the voice of Tony the Tiger before he passed away.
Yep.
It is the most perfectly sung song is emblematic of who the Grinch is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right,
Just
well,
so well done.
My number 7 is a newer movie, and you and I are both Kurt Russell fans. But when Kurt Russell did the Santa Chronicles, I was like, holy crap! Is there any role Kurt Russell cannot do? I fully bought him being Santa Claus. So if you've not seen the Netflix movie that came out a few years ago, the Santa Chronicles, that is my number 7.
Okay, I'm gonna have to add that to my list. I've not seen that.
You've never, because you got two now to see: Santa Chronicles and Santa Chronicles 2, both. With
yeah, that's right.
And his wife plays Mrs. Claus, his real life wife.
Very cool. All right, well, I'll definitely have to check that out.
I can't believe you've never seen the Santa Chronicles.
Yeah, I don't know how I've missed it.
It's so okay. You've got to go see it this week, and your kids could watch it. I mean, obviously it's a family movie. You've got to see it. Yeah. Kurt Russell as Santa, bar none, one of the best Santa renditions I've seen.
Okay, I will definitely go watch that this week.
All right, you're number 6.
Number 6, Elf, and that used to not be as high on my list, but it's such a funny movie, and just it's got a mild dose of good, nostalgia, but it's just a funny movie.
So let me let you in on a secret. I saw Elf for the first time last night.
Really?
Yes. I've never seen Elf. I knew I needed to see it. I realized Jon Favreau directed it, one of the early movies that he's done.
Yep.
I've never, ever, ever liked Will Ferrell in a lead role. Every movie where he's the lead, I get so sick of him, I just can't finish the movie. I barely made it through Elf.
Yeah. There are 2 other movies of his that I do like, and it's Talladega Nights. Even though
Ricky
as
Bobby?
you're getting towards the end, it's like, okay, dial it down, Will. And then what is the other one that he's in?
He's in a lot.
Yeah, there's another one that he's in that's good, but The Other Guys.
Oh, The Other Guys is actually really good. You know what?
That's a really good one.
I like that, but it's because of Mark Wahlberg balancing him out.
Yes, and he kind of dilutes him out a little bit, and you got The Rock is in it for a little while, and that's a fun movie.
The Other Guys, I will say, I enjoyed that, but that's because he wasn't the lead. He had to share a screen with other people.
He had to dial himself down. So
I mean, I loved Will Ferrell's little part in the Lego movie. Like he was great.
Yeah. Right.
For me, and for anybody who's up there cringing and yelling, I'm sorry. Will Ferrell becomes like too much sugar if you have nothing but sugar. It's like it's all icing, no cake. I need to have a little cake. And so I enjoyed Elf. I laughed in places, but I just felt it was still too much Will Ferrell for me. So
he's a lot.
Did not make my top 10.
He's a lot. So.
My number 6 was one of yours that you already mentioned, Tim Allen's The Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, there you go.
See,
there you go.
We're very similar so far. So number 6,
yeah, we
Santa
are.
Claus.
Here's where it's going to fall apart.
We're down to our top 5.
Top 5, yes. So my number 5 is Miracle on 34th Street.
Which version?
The
remake with the little girl Matilda. That's her name. Her name's not Matilda.
Oh no, the older
black and white,
original black and white version. Yeah,
I love both versions. That is a fantastic, and I'm surprised. I wanted to put it on my list of top 10. It's like one of my honorable mentions because I love the idea that Santa Claus has to go on trial, and yet it's the magic of Christmas and the belief in something bigger and greater than ourselves is how he gets he wins.
Yeah, and it is. It's a good, sappy,
great feel good movie. Great feel good movie.
Absolutely,
nothing wrong with that. Well, my number 5 is a rendition of the Christmas Carol because I love Bill Murray. Scrooged is my number 5.
That's my number 4. That is hilarious. So
Look at you. You're just one step ahead of me.
I know that is so funny because that is such a great movie. I think it is an underrated movie.
Oh yeah, I think people
Bill
forget
Murray
about
is
it.
tremendous in that.
It's here's this TV exec. It's set in this world where like commercialism and TV and violence is all like selling, and he's totally forgotten everything about what it is to be a human being.
Mhm.
And perfect backdrop for a modern telling of the Dickens classic.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It sure is. So, yeah. And then the next one on my list is.
Oh, wait, that's your number 4. So I got to do my number 4.
Oh, yeah. Do your number 4.
Well, and I knew they were going to be back to back in the Dickens telling, but my number 4 is The Muppets Christmas Carol.
How funny.
When I got Disney
really
Plus, I got Disney Plus in the middle of the summer. The first 2 things I watched on Disney Plus was Tron and The Black Hole. The next thing I watched for some reason, because I was like, oh my God, they've got every Muppets episode. I watched The Muppets Christmas Carol in like July.
Yeah, well, it's the Muppets. So
it's Michael Caine. It's the Muppets.
We'll allow it.
It was brilliant.
Well, and the Muppets are really a funny thing because some of the performances on the Muppet Show and in the Muppet movies are for some actors some of their best work. And I mean, like John Denver sang on one of the episodes of the Muppets, and I became a John Denver fan.
John Denver did the 12 Days of Christmas with the Muppets.
That's right. He sure did. He did. So there are some. The Muppets are nothing to smirk at.
No, and that version of Christmas Carol is tremendous. It's great to show the kids. They learn the story. It doesn't leave anything out. It adds some funniness and some humor, but honestly, it's a great version of the Christmas Carol.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
All right, we're down to our top 3.
Top 3. So number 3 for me, the George C. Scott Christmas Carol.
We apparently like versions of the Christmas Carol.
We do. We keep going to the same well.
The George C. Scott. You mentioned it earlier, folks. If you've been listening to this whole episode, you've listened to us for how many years. If you've never seen Patton, treat yourself to a 3-hour extravaganza of one of the best performances you'll ever see.
Even if you are not a war movie buff, that is an incredible movie.
It's brilliant top to bottom, and that kind of characterization goes straight into Scrooge. And you're right, George C. Scott, he actually is chilling when he laughs about what he wants to do with people who celebrate Christmas.
Yep. Well, he's such an incredible actor. One of my history professors in college said that George C. Scott is more Patton than Patton was. And that says a lot. And he brings that same gravitas, if you will, to the Scrooge character.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. My number 3 is, I referenced it earlier when it came to the snowman singing. It has been such an impact on me my entire life. Number 3, the Rankin and Bass stop motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Which is funny. We didn't even mention Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in our song segments.
I know. I almost put the Gene Autry version in my top 5, but it kind of fell off the list.
Yeah.
Again, if we had done top 10s, I probably would have had it.
Yeah, me too. So, but yeah, great movie. It almost went on my top 10 list and didn't quite make it. But yeah, I mean, that's a classic. I mean, that's a Christmas classic. Well, my number 2 is Christmas Vacation.
I had a feeling.
I knew that you would not even have that on your top 50.
Nope.
But Christmas Vacation to me is always great. And I was actually watching it last night. Heather and I were watching it. She has, she's watched it quite a few times, but not with anybody who could quote so many lines. And And for our listeners' sake, if you haven't already, go listen to our Patreon interview with Beverly D'Angelo when she talks about this, Christmas Vacation. And I actually was texting her last night and just said, hey, my fiance and I are sitting here watching Christmas Vacation and just laughing at some of the lines. And she and I text back and forth for a few minutes. And just what a great movie, but hopefully we can have her back on for an interview next season. She's just a great person, and it's kind of fun watching that movie and then being able to text her and say, what the heck did you mean by this?
And this because we did a dedicated Patreon breakdown, I think 7 episodes of Christmas Vacation. I watched it. The things that I thought were funny, I watched, I liked. There's something about it in totality. I'm just like, ugh. But there are some really good moments. There are some really funny things that happen. And the fact that we got a chance to talk to Beverly D'Angelo, I'll never regret that as long as I live.
Yeah, I got the good inside scoop on some of that stuff. And she is an entertaining person. I remember when we got done with that interview, we were like, we asked a question and 2 hours later, she's done. I mean, she is just such a fun person to talk to. So
that was great.
So that's great. So that was my number 2.
My number 2 is a movie that the wife and I just watched last night or 2 nights ago, because it is our tradition. We never, ever skip this during the Christmas season, but it's one of those movies we can watch any time of year. It is Love Actually.
Oh, yeah.
If you've never seen it, every character is interwoven into every other character, whether they're related as siblings, whether they're friends, whether they work for one another, whether they are on movie sets with one another. It doesn't matter. They are all interwoven. It is amazing. It is adult, I will tell you. It's British comedy. It is Hollywood has tried to do similar movies since Love Actually, and they have all sucked. There's only one movie that has managed to make that formula work, and it is Love Actually.
Interesting.
If you've never seen it, Walt, you and Heather, you need to see it together.
Okay.
Trust me. It'll broaden your horizon, and she'll be so impressed that you're liking a British movie.
I don't know if impressed is the right word, but
no, she will be. You're like,
yeah,
oh my God, Walt, you have more depth than just Christmas Vacation.
Well, she called me today and she said, are you listening to Christmas music? And I said, no, I'm listening to the Empire Strikes Back soundtrack. And she was like, oh, you and your Star Wars. So she would probably be just happy that I'm not
say, oh, you and your Star Wars. Please.
Well,
understood that.
She is she's never been a sci-fi fan, but she's actually now started watching a few episodes of Star Trek and has appreciated those. So we'll work up to Star Wars.
You got to get there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there. So
I just want to give you just some names of actors in Love Actually. Hugh Grant, Laura Linney, Liam Neeson, Bill Nighy, Colin Firth, Joanna Page, Chiwetel, I don't know how you say his last name, Ejiofor, Martin Freeman, Keira Knightley, Andrew Lincoln. I mean,
oh wow,
it's chock full. Emma Thompson's in it. Alan Rickman is in it. Dude, you'll know everybody in it, and it is going to blow you away. I can't believe you've never seen it. Hearing me talk about it, you owe yourself this Christmas season. Go see Love, or just rent or watch or binge.
It's on one of the streaming services. I can't remember which one I saw it on.
Maybe just watch Amazon Love Actually. Just remember, it's an adult movie. They'd say we're nerds, and there's one subplot that is hysterical about 2 stand-in actors on an adult movie set. So funny.
Okay.
It's so funny. I crack up every time I watch it because Martin Freeman is one of the stand-in actors. It's so good.
Well, it'll be good to see Andrew Lincoln in something other than The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Oh, this is him pre-Walking Dead. He's so young.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, cool.
But he's so good. I don't want to tell you anything. Just watch it and then report back to me.
Okay. Yeah, I will do that. So All right. And so I'm up to my number one, right?
Number one.
Well, Alan, it's
This is John.
Nice beer.
He just wants to spend Christmas with the family.
Is Daddy coming home with you?
We'll see what Santa and Mommy can do.
But when he gets stuck at the office party,
Merry Christmas.
it'll be a holiday
Merry Christmas.
he'll never forget.
Ho, ho, ho.
Welcome to the party, pal.
This Christmas,
It's a time of miracles, so be of good cheer.
Only John can drive somebody that crazy.
get ready to jingle some bells and deck the halls with bows of Bruce Willis,
To the coast, we get together, have a few laughs.
Alan Rickman,
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
together in the greatest Christmas story ever told.
I got some bad news for you, Dwayne. Hans, Bobby. Eat it, Harvey.
Holy shit.
I'm starting to get a bad feeling up here. Merry Christmas.
Die Hard,
This is their idea of Christmas. I gotta be here for New Year's.
it's never really Christmas until Hans Gruber falls off Nakatomi Plaza.
It's my number one.
So my number one, regardless of what has been in the media this week, Die Hard is my number one Christmas
Die
movie.
Hard. Yes. Yes. I've already seen it. And I was watching a review the other day. One of my favorite, we talk about during the regular season. One of my favorite YouTube reaction channels is Popcorn in Bed. She and her sister watched it. They still were torn about whether it was a Christmas movie. They loved it. They loved every bit
so
about
great.
it. As soon as I got done, I'm like, I got to go watch Die Hard again. Die Hard, number one all-time greatest Christmas movie. It is not Christmas, as you said, until Hans Gruber is doing a nosedive off a Nakatomi Plaza.
Yep. And then the line, I hope that's not one of the hostages.
That's not one of the hostages.
Such a cop thing to say. I mean, that is just such a cop thing to say.
We've had this debate. One of the guys on our listeners group was like, "It's not a Christmas movie. There's no miracle." I'm like, "Of course, there's a miracle. It's mentioned a couple of times, even in the script." And I had to quote it because he's like, "It's Christmas, Theo. It's 'tis the time of miracles." And then he says later, "The circuits that cannot be cut locally are automatically cut in the event of a terrorist attack. You wanted a miracle. I give you the FBI."
There you go.
You got your Christmas miracle.
Yeah, my dad loves that line.
Two separated people, they come together and realize the love that they had given up is forged together. And because they're in LA, you can't have snow. So they have paper falling at the end where they sing Let It Snow. I mean, come on. Greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Yep. And then Al blows away the bad guy. And
you and I are going to be friends
amazing.
forever because we both separately created our top 10. So many movies are same on our list, but our number one is identical. There is no greater movie for Christmas.
That is just awesome. That is awesome. So in honor of that, I think I'll go home tonight and watch it again.
Yeah,
it never gets old.
I'm going to watch it when we get done recording. I'm going to pop it on my wife's like, "Oh dear God, you're watching a Die Hard."
Mhm.
Yes, honey, I am. I'm in the Christmas spirit. I'm sorry, I want to go bah humbug.
In fact, you know what? Once we get our feet under us next year, we should probably do a special Die Hard episode.
Oh my God, we should. Dear Lord, how much fun would that be? I don't even need
it'd be great.
prep. We could do it right now.
No, we can do it right now. We can start right now. And we could put the word out and we'd have 15 people volunteer to join us for that one.
I've seen that movie so many times and I love every delicious second of it. It's like I never feel bored. It doesn't matter if I know what's coming. I laugh at all the lines. I feel bad when he cuts his foot. I'm with him every step of the way.
Yeah, and there's so many times I'm just, reciting lines along with the actors. Shoot the glass. Yeah, I mean, just so many great lines.
I don't know if you've watched any of her reactions, but if you need to go look up on YouTube, Popcorn in Bed, the one I love. Go watch her and
she's great.
React to Die Hard. It is.
I can't remember which one it was I watched a couple weeks ago that was really, really good of hers, but she's done Blazing Saddles and
she's awesome.
A bunch of others.
She's just innocent enough that she still gets shocked by things and he wants to cover her face when things are gory or nasty, and yet so real and so just
she's really
just
good.
innocent, and I love watching her.
Yeah, so good.
Awesome. All right, well, let's as we start to wind down, I can't believe we're already through our movies. We're nearly done. I had three things technically, but two things that kind of go back to back. One is I wanted to go to our Christmas memories, things that we remember when we were a kid.
Oh, sure.
Some of our favorite Christmas memories. Do you have any particular, like a Christmas that stood out, or a particular memory, or something that maybe every year you're just like, oh my God, this is how I know it's Christmas?
Yeah, there are a couple of them. I think I've told this before, but I can't remember if I've told it on the podcast. That my favorite Christmas gift ever was the Planet of the Apes treehouse. And the crazy thing about this is you could not find it. You could not find it anywhere. And my dad was talking to another FBI agent, guy he's working a case with, who was in the New York office. He said, yeah, I cannot find this dang thing. And he said, I'll tell you what, let me run across the street here and see if Macy's has one. So this guy finds it like 5 days before Christmas, buys it, runs back to the office, and throws it in FBI interoffice mail, which is like highest priority mail. So the Planet of the Apes treehouse got red bagged from New York to Columbus, Ohio, and arrives just in time for Christmas.
That's awesome. That's like taxpayer dollars at work.
So thank you, J. Edgar Hoover.
We need a courier to take this really important evidence from one FBI location to another. What is it? Don't ask.
Don't ask. It's evidence. So so that was a great one. I loved that. That was an awesome toy, and I always loved the Planet of the Apes anyway. But that was probably the most memorable gift, and of course now the most memorable story of a gift when I was a kid. But I also remember getting a big wheel and absolutely destroying the front tire by skidding everywhere, and that was always good. But also as a kid, growing up living in Ohio, I loved getting snow at Christmas. That was always a highlight.
Yeah.
And
I miss that. I really do. I know it was a pain driving in it. I know people who are adults are like, well, you don't have to shovel it all. Blah, blah. You know what? I know, but every single time it snows down here, I'm drawn back to my youth and go, I wish we had just a little more of this every year.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I do miss it. I do. I miss the idea of being just. I told my kids, I talk about, traditions. I tell my kids this. You don't know what it's like to have two sets of snow like gear because a blizzard's coming in or a heavy snow, and you have to keep on top of it. So you're shoveling every hour. And when you come in, you're so hot and tired from shoveling, you're literally sweating in your gear. So you have to take it off to dry, not because of how the stuff was wet on the outside, because you got it wet on the inside from sweating. And you'd have to put on, and you'd have to go every hour to stay on top of it. Otherwise, it'd be too much to snow. Because where we live, we would get wet snow because we lived off a lake. We get lake effect snow in Detroit. So it was so heavy, you couldn't let it go for 2-3 hours because then it'd be too heavy to snow.
Right. Yeah, it was crazy. And living in a state where we just don't get that much snow, it's really hard to explain to people what it's like living in snow.
Right. You cannot. Building snow forts, snowball fights, going sledding. Oh my God, the sledding.
Great.
We lived when we grew up, one of the areas that we moved to before we moved to Georgia was a planned community. And so they created these man-made lakes that had these really steep hills. And so our hill was by our house, we used to call it Suicide Hill because you'd go shooting across the lake and you weren't sure if it had fully frozen when you got to the middle. And so everybody's like, oh my God, you're going to die. And so it was called Suicide Hill. And we, hours and hours and hours and hours, every time we had a chance, we would go sledding.
I love that every town that ever had snow has a Suicide Hill.
Got to call it that. Of course.
You have to. And it always lived up to its name.
Yep. The worst tailbone injury I ever got was when I decided to sit instead of kneel on this sled. And I went off this little ledge and landed square on my tailbone on the ice. And I was like, oh, it hurt for like weeks after that.
Oh, that is the worst.
That's the worst.
That is the worst.
And I learned the most fun thing to do was literally go face forward on my stomach down the sled. I love that.
That is a great trip.
And then, if you, and this is only something that people who live in snow know, you have to all agree, however many kids are coming to the hill, there are certain paths that are sled paths. Everyone's got to walk up one edge of the hill so you don't put footsteps and footprints in the path that your sled's going to go down because it slows you down.
Yeah. So it is. There's a lot to know about sledding. So
have you seen the meme
if you break the rules?
Right. Have you seen the meme where they show a kid with like Wonder bags, like Wonder Bread bags, and they go,
"Oh yeah,
this is what we call insulation for our boots in the winter."
Yep, I remember it well.
Used to do that all the time. Bread bags to make sure that if water or snow melted in our boots, it didn't get our socks wet.
I remember talking to somebody that I'd grown up with in Ohio, and I said something about mom saving Wonder Bread bags starting in like July. And my kids were like, What? What are you talking about? I was like, yeah, we had the bag full of Wonder Bread bags for our shoes and boots. And they were like, that's insane. What are you talking about? So, but that was what you did. I mean, I remember my outer layer was a Wonder Bread bag.
Did you have moon boots growing up?
Oh, of course.
This is like, the hell are you talking about? You look it up. We had moon boots.
Moon boots. Yep.
They're great.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Same
Kept
memories.
you warm and dry.
Yeah.
Fashion be damned.
Who cares? Well, they were thick and insulated.
Yeah, it was awesome.
They were not waterproof. That's why you had to use the Wonder bags.
No, that's right. They were not waterproof.
Right.
They were not waterproof. But I remember every school, every classroom had like kind of a mud room that you'd walk into and take off your first 14 layers and get you down to your last 4.
Oh, yeah. I learned very quickly that if you dress in layers, it keeps you warmer.
Yes. Yes. And drier.
Usually.
Usually.
Growing up for me, all these things we're talking about, that's all consistent. My one like big Christmas, I knew my dad had lost, during the, end of the Carter years and then heading into the early 80s, Detroit was not a happy place to live. There was not a lot going on. So my dad ended up, after being unemployed for a while, had to take these short tours of duty with the military, and he would be gone for 4 to 6 months at a time. And I thought there was this one Christmas where everybody was getting a Commodore 64. That's all I wanted. I wanted a computer. I wanted the Commodore 64. It was a gaming machine. You could do other things with it. I just thought everybody has one. And I was like, there's no way, because mom had to go back to work. We were stretching, we were living on pinching every penny. I'll never forget 1983. My dad came home ironically from Georgia, where he was stationed, and it would be eventually where he'd be transferred to permanently. And that's what led us down here. He brought home a Commodore 64 for the family.
Oh, wow. That's
it was
awesome.
The greatest Christmas. It's still to this day. I very rarely hugged my dad when I was older. I remember being so blown away that we had the Commodore. I gave him the biggest hug. He nearly fell over because he wasn't expecting it.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
It was great. And I know it's a computer and it's geeky and everything, but hey, everything today is computer. Everything's geeky. So I just was ahead of the curve.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, the Commodore 64, that was it.
I can't tell you the number of hours I was programming basic, like pretending I knew how to do what I was doing. I could do some basic. I did all my papers for school. I remember I got a teacher who didn't believe, because we had a printer and a computer. This tells you the thinking of our teachers back in the early 80s. She said, I can't accept this. This is not your handwriting. Like, what are you talking about? I typed it. I typed. She goes, no, you had the computer do it. I'm like, no, what? I had to have my mom and dad send a letter that I had stayed up typing my paper because I wanted to type it and print it, because my hand, I had one of those, I don't know what it is about my hand, but I either grip the pen too tight, but after about 4 or 5 paragraphs, my hand hurts and cramps, and I have still to this day piss poor penmanship.
Oh, yeah.
The minute I could type, I typed everything.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I taught myself how to type, just for that reason.
Yeah, I prefer to be on a keyboard versus writing. I know it's a lost art, but all right, some things are just doomed to go the way of the dodo.
Yes, they are.
So,
yes, they are.
So the only other memory, and you kind of mentioned it, I never remember a Christmas without snow in Detroit. I don't. We may have had one, but as far as I know, we always had snow at Christmas, and so it's weird to not have snow at Christmas here in Northwest Georgia.
Yeah, I believe we had one that we didn't, but we got it right afterwards.
Well, you probably had it and it melted, but at least you've seen it. Whereas here, you don't even get it.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a different way to grow up. That is for sure.
Wait, now you and I are both a little bit older. We now have kids, and our kids are getting older. So I wanted to kind of put a little twist on the question of favorite Christmas memories as a kid. What about now as an adult?
I think just every time you score that right gift, and even with my kids getting older, seeing how much that means when you get that one thing that they were really looking for.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's good. I didn't put that on my list, but that is good. When they realize they weren't thinking that they were going to get it, they thought maybe it was too expensive or you had forgotten it or whatever. And then when you get it and their eyes just light up, there's just something that makes you melt.
Yeah, there is. And yeah, it's that's a great moment.
Kind of in that same vein for me, looking back, I'm amazed how Christmas when I was a kid and even a young adult was all about me. What are we going to get? What am I going to get? What's coming for Christmas? The minute I had kids, I don't know what mental switch got clicked. It's suddenly, I didn't care. If I had nothing under the tree, it wouldn't matter as long as there were things for my kids under the tree.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That seamless transition from going from kid to parent was something I'll never forget because still to this day, it's about them.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. So
I want to tell you one of the stories that I do know from an adult that my kids, and we share this as they're older now. There was one year, both of my daughters, when I was still in my first marriage, they were still young. I think maybe 8 and 5. And they said, or maybe 7 and 4. And they said, we want to write a letter to Santa. And it was like every year they always wrote a letter and they always left cookies and milk, which is a good tradition. But this year I read the letter and they said, Santa, a lot of people in school are saying that you don't exist. Can you leave me one of the jingle bells off the reins of your reindeer so I can take it to school and show everybody that you're real?
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, this is tough.
Yeah,
so we had these really, really fancy decorations that we had not put out, but I had them that were velvet or like velour and these big brass jingle bells on these velour ropes. And I was like, oh my God, these are going to be perfect. And so I cut 2 of them off, one for each child. And of course, Christmas Eve, they went to bed early. We're all setting up everything up. And I was like, okay, they've got to be dead asleep by now. So I very quietly creep into the room, trying to make sure the jingle bell doesn't make a noise. And I put one on each of their little nightstands and walked out. They woke up next morning. Oh my God, Santa left a jingle bell. They hung on to him, loved it. Fast forward, now adults, we're sitting around one of the first Christmases that they're all coming back home from college. They both start saying, my daughters are saying, there was that one time that we were sitting there and we had wished for the jingle bell and we heard someone come in the room. And I knew if I opened my eyes, Santa would be really, really mad. And so I kept my eyes closed. I'm like, holy shit, they weren't awake. They could have seen me planting the jingle
hilarious.
bell. But
That's awesome.
Because they said if we opened our eyes, we knew he would be either mad or would disappear. And so we had to keep our eyes really, really closed.
That's great. That's
so
great.
The magic did exist. And the magic,
I always love that one kid who was like, I saw Santa. Mm-hmm. And, years later, you're like, kid was a liar then. He's a liar now.
Well, could be mom. Could have been dad. Could have been stuck in the chimney.
Yeah, could have been.
I like grandma.
Could have been.
You know what? Like I said earlier, your belief of Santa, can be of all things. Do I believe that there's some guy who plays with elves up in the North Pole? But
Probably
does
not.
Santa represent the spirit of the season and what makes everything fun and joyful and giddy and good and family and wholesomeness? Sure. Let's go with it.
Absolutely.
And as long as I believe in that, I believe in Santa.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Because I can't think, I mean, wouldn't the world just be a little bit darker and a little bit sadder if there wasn't a Santa Claus?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
For people who are listening, if you don't have that magic in your heart, find it. Because honestly, it makes everything better. Everything gets just a little easier to deal with when you know there's that goodness, even if you can't explain it, just that goodness of the season.
Well, and even if you just look up the true story of who Santa is based on,
St. Nicholas, yeah.
St. Nicholas, yeah. He went around to houses and threw money in the windows so that their daughters would not have to become prostitutes. And so extrapolate that out, that is a pretty amazing thing that the guy who we celebrate as Santa Claus now was giving gifts to people to make sure that they could live the lives they wanted to live.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that magic? I'll believe it.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
All right. As we I think as we start to wind down here, unless there's some other memories you want to share of now being in.
No, I think we've covered a lot of good ground here.
We did. I mean, I think you and I are both in the same as we transition from this. I think the last thing I'd say is having adult children now, children who are in jobs, finishing or in college, having careers, meeting significant others. Christmas is still that time of coming back together and creating brand new memories, meeting new members that will become part of your family, maybe. It's my favorite thing to look forward to, Christmas Eve, because it's almost like they never grew up. They want to still spend the night. They still come here. I don't know how many years we'll have that they do that. Hopefully forever. You never know. But right now, they still love coming home, being here Christmas Eve, spending the night, and waking up early. I don't understand that. Early Christmas morning to start celebrating as a family.
Yeah, that early thing is always tough.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're all adults. Don't we all want to sleep? Isn't that our first gift? We can just sleep in.
Yes, that should be the first gift. So.
But I told this joke the other day. I was like, all I hear is in the age of our cell phones, I'm the only one, I guess, still in bed. I can hear them twittering around the house. I'm like, damn it, I'm not getting up yet. It's only 6:45.
I love them, but they're on their own.
And all of a sudden I hear, woo, woo, and I look at my phone, text messages. Someone go wake dad up. No, I'm not going to wake dad up. No, you wake up dad. I'm like, why am I being on the text chain about waking dad up? Leave that amongst yourselves.
Yeah, just woke dad up.
Oh, I think they did that on purpose.
Yes, I would say so.
All right. Just as we wrap up, you and I have had 4 straight seasons now of the Wilder Ride.
Pretty amazing,
2 years
man.
looking at a movie, 2 years of interviewing some of the coolest, most interesting people and hearing such great stories. I can't believe it's been 4 years, but I'm blown away at what we've done.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It has been a lot of fun, and I'm, every time we kind of come to the end of the year, I'm like, okay, so what are we doing next? I've never had that thought of, okay, this is going to be my exit. It's always like I can't wait until we get started again. I'm looking forward to a little break, but I can't wait till we get started again.
The break is good. Everybody needs some time to focus on family, recenter, recharge the batteries. I'm definitely looking forward to season 5. I don't see why we would stop.
No, absolutely not. I feel like we're just getting our feet under us.
Yeah. I think, our listeners group keeps growing, the participation in there, the jokes, the memes, the stories being shared, people tagging us on things. I love it. I think we've got a fantastic community, and I love every one of our listeners.
Yeah, me too.
And especially when they reach out for no other reason, just to say hi.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, so many of them have just been so thoughtful over so many different things. And two, I've had, people reach out to me. I know you've had it too of, you said this during this episode, and what did you mean by that? Or did didn't you think it meant this or whatever? And I love it. I love that people are going back and listening to Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles and Poltergeist and some of the other stuff that we've done. And we just have the best listeners. I mean, we really do. Our audience is awesome.
Yeah. So I know I put on here an idea about New Year's and resolutions, but we're already coming up on our 2-hour mark. And I try to always keep the shows around that, some a little shorter, some a little longer, but I kind of always keep my mind on a reasonable listening length.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at this. 2022, as we're recording this, is a couple of weeks away. Anything you're looking forward to next year besides season 5?
Yeah, I've got a full year coming up, and so I have a lot to look forward to with family and kind of starting over with some things, and yeah, and 2022 is going to be a great year.
I'll let you in on this. I know I already told my wife this. I said, I've been sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting and working and pushing and trying to stay on top of the Atlanta market for radio as a career shift. And I said, you know what? Our youngest is pretty much on her own. Everybody else is out. We've renovated all of the rooms. I know we're not going to pick up and move until something is 100% confirmed, but I might have to start widening my circle. And my wife was like, I totally understand.
Yeah.
So the year of 2022, who knows where I may end up, or maybe commuting long distance back and forth. But the nice thing in the age of technology we live in, you and I will still be able to put our shows together.
That's right. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed Detroit.
Who knows? Maybe Jacksonville. I might even get less snow.
Yeah, you might. Well, that's good.
Orlando.
I can come visit.
Or hey, Tulsa.
Hey, Tulsa's not a bad place.
So. Right now, if I can get any top 10 or 20, even top 20 market in the country full time, I'm going to have to do it because I do so much that why
no doubt. Yeah, and you've paid your dues. It's time to go.
I got to make something happen at this point. Yeah, at some point, I've always been on the bleeding edge, and like I try to lead by example with my kids. I'm always emailing. I'm always staying in touch. I'm always making lunch appointments, making sure that I'm not just sitting back. You have to be actively involved in your own career. But at some point, you're either making progress or you're just being, you're just in the wings. And at some point, I want to be on the stage.
Yeah. Well, and it's time. It's time for you to do that. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm pulling for you.
Thank you.
And I think you're going to end up someplace good.
I hope so. But you know what? I think we've always got our podcast because that gets me. You can't understand. Well, maybe you do. As much as I enjoy the news talk and current events, there's just something magic about having a show that I don't have to be answerable to any higher authority. I can just do what I love, and you and I can tweak the format, change, add something, remove, and it's just you and me. You and I work for each other.
Yeah, exactly. And our listeners. And I love the suggestions that our listeners make all the time. So,
yeah. All right. Final thoughts of 2021.
I'm glad it's over. It has been a year. I mean, there have been some great things, but there have been some crazy things too. So I'm glad 2021 is over, and hopefully in 2022, COVID will kiss our butt and go away, and we can get back to some sort of normal life. And but I think 2022 is going to be a great year.
If you look at how long it felt to get through 2020 versus 2021, I feel, and maybe it's just because where we live, we're back to normal. I've been back to normal. Everything is normal. I know there's that little sense of like that fuzz on the outside of your vision when you realize the rest of the country isn't exactly where we are here in Northwest Georgia. I do hope in 2022, the rest of the country goes, okay, we're done. We're done. We're done with this nonsense. Let's just get back to normal.
Yeah, I think everybody is ready to get back to normal.
I think so, but there are some people you just wonder. It feels like they've decided I can be okay being afraid the rest of my life. This seems like fun. I can just stay inside and not talk to anybody. And how quickly did you give up everything that made you free? I don't get it. I know I don't want to get political.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that far more people just wake up and go, okay, all right, I get it. There's things I can do. I'm changing some of my habits. I want to stay, not put my fingers up my nose after I've been walking around touching 55,000 things in the store. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should, be a little more conscious about when, sneezing into my elbow instead of out loud, carrying a tissue, blah, blah, blah. Those are things you should have been doing anyway, but you're never getting rid of all the bacteria that crawls around the planet. You're not going to get rid of all the viruses that crawl around. We've had them since we crawled out of the primordial ooze. We got to learn to just move along, because we could stagnate ourselves through fear. We could be paralyzed through fear for the rest of our lives.
Yes, and I'm not going to do that.
No, I'm not. The season of Christmas is all about moving forward and forgiveness and positivity. And I feel all of that, the joy, the glory, the miracle that is Jesus, the gift that we all got, that gift that said, I'm giving you something to make you realize you can be even better. So do it. I didn't want you to get this gift and do nothing. I want you to become better. That's how much I love you. And I want to always be better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, I'm looking forward to next year and putting all this nonsense behind us. And hopefully it'll just get to a point that the people who want to live with masks on can live with it as a hobby and not have to worry about all this crazy crap.
Yeah. All right. As we start to wind down, we still need to do our normal bit of housekeeping. We'll go through this very quickly. It was just you and me. We started the season. We end the season. Folks that might be just listening for the very first time, tell them where they can learn a little bit more about that listeners group or engaging with us on social media.
Yeah, the best place to go is Facebook. Go to facebook.com/The Wilder Ride and follow us there. And a button's going to pop up to join the listeners group. So you definitely want to hit that, answer those 3 quick questions just to show that you are human and or humanish and not a robot. And you join our listeners group and you can hear learn everything about the show, what we've got coming up, what we've had in the past, and a lot about our guests, and then just some general entertainment and other stuff. So that is a great place to go. And then, of course, you can always find us on our website at thewilderride.com.
And whatever podcast you listen to, whether it's this one, whether you have a dozen, whether you have 2 dozen, or whether you're like our good friend Ian that we interviewed earlier this season, who listens to nothing but probably has 100 that he listens to, take a second to rate and review, but more importantly, hit that share button. Help us just market the show. Let people know about us through your own social media. It doesn't cost you anything, but just the 30 seconds to hit share and maybe type a quick message. And that would really, really be awesome. And come back next year, early 2022, where I don't know when, but come on back after. You just keep an eye on us, stay with us, stay in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram under The Wilder Ride. Because Walt, you and I have no idea what we're going to open the season with, but we do know season 5 is coming in 2022.
It is coming. It is on the tracks. You cannot avoid it.
Yeah.
It will be here.
With that said, my last comment, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Whatever your phrase, whatever you're saying, don't be offended by somebody saying one thing or another. If someone's wishing you glad tidings and good joy, accept it, take it. Let that empower you to feel a little bit brighter, a little bit happier, a little less dour, and a little more hopeful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I, as Alan said, Merry Christmas to whatever holiday you're celebrating currently. I hope it's great, and look forward to having everybody back next year.
Adios. That was great. That was fun to just talk about our traditions and our songs and our films. And I can't believe it. Although I am happy that our number 1 boom, boom, boom rematch.
I know. How funny is that? Just so typical.
It shows why you and I really do mesh pretty well together.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely, we do.
Well, Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Yeah, you too, buddy. And if I don't talk to you before, I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
All right, I got something for you, but we got to figure out when to get together. And maybe
I know. I'm the same way.
Got
Got it sitting in my car.
All right. All right. Talk to you soon. All right, buddy. Take care.
Johnny wants a pair of skates, Susie wants a sled.
Nellie wants a picture book, yellow, blue, and red. Now I think I'll leave to you what to give the rest.
But give little Billy a drum this year.